Hey guys, it's Jennifer Party. Happy spring. Happy return to the light season of the year and Aries season. I hope you're feeling that spark of renewal within and that you feel excited to maybe jump into some fresh things or just fully immerse yourself in the season of renewal. So, I wanted to share with you an experience that I've had over the last year and something that you might be interested in trying yourself. So, over the last year, I have been reading this book along with some friends and following along with the 36 decans as they're laid out in this book. So, first of all, it's a great book. I recommend it. There's your spoiler right away. But I'll tell you a little bit more about my experience. And maybe I should say just a little bit more about the decans in general. So what are the decans? The decans are the divisions of the 12 astrological signs into 3 different segments. At least that's what they are today. So originally, and we're talking like 4,000 years ago in ancient Egypt, the decans were actually star markers. They were timekeepers. The Egyptians would watch the stars, and by doing so and noticing when certain stars would rise, when they would culminate, when they would set, they would be able to tell the time of year and also the hours of the night. So originally, the decans were star markers. They were used to help to celebrate seasonal rituals that were often religious in nature, and they helped them keep time. When astrology became more of the astrology that we know today in the Hellenistic era, so starting around 300 BC, the decans became incorporated into the then emerging astrology, but they were nailed down so that instead of just being about stars, they became these divisions of the signs. And we got the signs from Babylonian astrology, and then the decans were incorporated within that. So, and part of the reason for that is because over time, due to a phenomena called precession, the stars don't rise at exactly the same time of year. So over thousands of years or hundreds of years, the timekeeping would drift a bit. Anyway, so for the last 2,000 or so years, the decans have been used to divide the signs into 3 different segments, and they've been associated with many different things. They've been associated with different gods, also with different illnesses and parts of the body. They've been associated with different, like in the grimoire tradition, different like angels or demons. They have pictures. They have pictures that you can find in the Picatrix from the medieval ages and Renaissance, and also in Cornelius Agrippa in his 3 books of occult philosophy. He describes these images that are sometimes kind of bizarre. So anyway, the decans over time have been many different things. In addition to being these divisions of the signs, they've been associated with lots of different figures, with different images, with different gods. And then, starting in the late 1800s, early 1900s, per the Golden Dawn, the decans became used in tarot as well. So they also correlate with our tarot cards. And that is a long introduction to say that is what this book is about. So if you are interested in tarot and you are curious about the decans, this is a book that goes into the decans from a tarot perspective. And the reason it's called 36 Secrets is T. Susan Chang wrote the book and was inspired by a book by Austin Coppock, which is unfortunately now out of print, called 36 Faces. And Austin talks about, this is kind of the definitive book on the decans. He's working on a new edition of it, but he's also been working on a new edition of it for some time. So in this book, Austin goes into the astrology behind each of the different decans, also a comprehensive history at the beginning of the book of the decans. So much more in depth than the very brief kind of overview that I just gave you guys. So 36 faces, 36 different images, from an astrology perspective, that's what Austin breaks down in this book. Well, Susie, T. Susan Chang, decided to take those 36 decans and approach them from a tarot perspective. Now, Austin does cover that a little bit in his book as well. He does talk a little bit about the tarot, but primarily it focuses on astrology. T. Susan Chang goes into each of the cards in depth that are associated with these 36 decans. So the way the Golden Dawn did it, so how do we get 36 decans and what are they? They are 36 of the minor arcana. So it's called 36 secrets because we have the arcana are the secrets. We have the major arcana, which show the larger spiritual arc of the Fool's Journey and the arc that we all can go through in our spiritual development. But we also have the minor arcana, which are kind of on the ground. How do we work with these energies on a day-to-day basis? And it's the minor arcana, 36 of those, that are mapped onto these 36 decans, according to the Golden Dawn. So that basically 2 through 10 of each suit. So wands, cups, pentacles, and swords. 2 through 9 are mapped onto different 10-day periods. And well, it's actually 10 degrees of the zodiac, so about 10 days. And through that, you get your 36 different decans that are associated with 36 of the minor arcana. And I could go more into breaking down how that works. I don't want this to be a tremendously long video, but basically for the cardinal signs, so that would be Aries season, like we're in now. Aries, Cancer would be cardinal water. So Aries, cardinal fire, Cancer, cardinal water, Libra, cardinal air, and Capricorn, cardinal earth. Those seasons, the cardinal seasons, are assigned to 2, 3, and 4 of their respective suits. And then the fixed signs, which would be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, they are assigned to 5, 6, and 7 of each of their respective suits. And then the mutable signs, the ones that end each season, which would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, they get 8, 9, and 10 of each of the suits. So, and it lines up really nicely so that you're going to get like so we're starting with Decan 1 right now in Aries season. That would be associated with the 2 of Wands. And then we have the 3 of Wands for the middle decan, and then we have the 4 of Wands. And then we go into Taurus season and we get 5 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles. And then we go into Gemini season and we get 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, 10 of Swords. So we're changing suits, but we do get actually sequentially 2 through 10 for each season as well. Even though we change suits, we change signs or elements. So what Susie does in this book is, first she gives an overview, and then for each of the decans, like this one here, this is the one that we're in right now, 2 of Wands, Aries 1. For each of the decans, she associates it with 3 cards, and then she breaks that down. She talks about it. So the first card will be whatever the decanic ruler is. So I haven't talked about the rulers yet, but again, briefly, the rulers go in a certain order from slowest to fastest, and they repeat over and over again. So this is what's called the Chaldean order of, because there's 2 different systems of ordering the decanic rulers, but we're using the Chaldean system, which is from slowest planet to fastest planet. So it would be like Saturn, then Jupiter, then Mars, then the Sun, then Venus, then Mercury, then the Moon, and then repeat, rinse and repeat. But we start with Mars. So it'll be then Mars rules the first decan of Aries, and then the Sun rules the second decan of Aries, and then Venus would rule the third decan of Aries. So it's like that. So what Susie does is, for the 2 of Wands, we have these 3 cards, and one of them, the first one, is the Tower. Now, the reason that the Tower is associated with the first decan is that the Tower is associated, according to the Golden Dawn, the Tower correlates with Mars, and Mars rules this decan. And then the second card is the obvious one. That's the card that goes with this 10-degree and basically 10-day period, and that's the 2 of Wands. And then this card over here, which is the Emperor. The Emperor is there because he correlates, again, according to the Golden Dawn, he correlates with Aries. So all 3 decans would be associated with the Emperor, but only the first decan of Aries would be associated with the Tower, which is ruled by Mars. I hope that makes sense. And then the second decan, so then we've got like lots of reflections on the 2 of Wands, about 5 pages. I would say that's about average. It might be 4 pages sometimes, it might be 6 or 7 pages sometimes. But Susie gives you a bit to reflect on for each of these decans. And then we go to the next decan. And then we have, you know, it's ruled by the Sun, as I mentioned. So we'll have 3 of Wands. And then we have the Sun card, because it's associated with the Sun. Surprise, surprise. And we have the Emperor again, because he's associated with just Aries in general, as I mentioned. And then for the 4 of Wands, again, we're going to have that Emperor. And there's the 4 of Wands. And this is, of course, for the third decan of Aries. And we also have the Empress. And the reason we have the Empress is because she is associated with Venus, who rules the third decan of Aries. So that is basically how that works. And each of the planets, so each of the traditional planets, so no modern planets here, no Pluto, no Neptune, no Uranus, but each of the 7 traditional planets or bodies, because we include the Sun and the Moon, each of those guys are going to rule 5 different decans, except for Mars, who rules 6. And that's because he ends the whole year with the last decan of Pisces, and then he begins again with Aries 1. So Susie does a wonderful job reflecting on each of those 3 cards. And it gets you thinking deeper, both about the tarot and the nature of whatever that decanic card is, like the Two of Wands for right now. You know, it gives you 10 days to really read about and reflect on your experience of the Two of Wands, and how do I relate to this card, and how do I see this relating to the season. And then you can also reflect on what is that planetary influence, and what is the influence of the Emperor. How does that play out in my life? And Susie will offer lots of thoughts about that as well in this book. She will oftentimes describe the images from the Picatrix, like usually a short paragraph or two about that. So like, here's an image for Aries 1. And she will also, sometimes she'll bring in like the Kabbalistic tree of life, because again, that's something that the Golden Dawn would have worked with. She usually does a pretty good job of explaining these things so it's not totally obtuse if it's new to you. If any of this is new, the astrology is new, the tree of life is new. I think she does a pretty good job explaining what's going on and not totally losing you. But then she will, at the end of each section, she will talk about the everyday, whatever the card is, Two of Wands. And then she'll talk about, because Susie has a practice of drawing like 2 cards every day and logging them. And she's done this over many years, I believe. So she will talk about when she's drawn a card on a particular day, the kinds of things that have come up. And she will share her experience, her everyday experience with that card. And then she'll have like a little reading or reflection, some short piece of writing. Oftentimes it'll be like a poem at the end of the chapter about that decan. So the poem for the Two of Wands is a poem by Dylan Thomas called The Hand That Signed the Paper. So I recommend this book. I think it's a really great way to go deeper with the tarot. If you are pretty new to astrology, I mean, maybe you just want to go deeper with the tarot. Maybe you want to learn about the decans and their planetary correspondences, or how the astrology and the tarot goes together. This is a great book for that. So it's more of a tarot book than an astrology book, but these reflections definitely do bring in the astrology quite a bit, and it allows you to reflect on both and the connection between them. I really think that's the biggest takeaway, is the connection between the astrology and the tarot that we see in the decans. So I recommend the book. I think it's great. I read it and had some friends reading it with me. Not all of them did it for the whole year. And I think that's, you know, even if you are not seeing this in Aries season, or you have like a desire to do it, but you don't think you can stick with it for the whole year, I think it works really well just picking up in whatever season you happen to be in. You can do that. You know, you might miss a few decans. You can pick it back up. And each of the sections kind of stand alone. They do build on each other, but they also speak for themselves. So it's great for a whole year-long journey. That's how Susie wrote the book. Is she wrote it as her own personal year-long journey from March 2019 to March 2020. She did a Decan Walk and wrote her reflections during each of the decans. Yeah, and it's just a great process to go through. I recommend it. I will say a couple more things before I sign off. Well, first of all, for those of you who are wondering, the book ends up being 278 pages. But again, there's 36 decans. It's less than 10 pages of reading per 10 days. Very doable, very bite-sized. So interestingly, for some of you guys who are wanting to do a Decan Walk this year, Susie herself is actually hosting one. I just found out about this last week. But if you join on Facebook, her Facebook group, The Fortune's Wheelhouse Academy. She's going to post at the start of each decan. I just checked, and she did post something for Aries 1. And then invite you to share your reflections during those 10 days about how you're working with that decan. So you can check that out. You can follow along with that. There are also a number of astrologers these days that are starting to post things about the decans. If you guys want to hear more about astrology and the decans, or you want me to do a follow-up about more resources, I'm happy to do that. I don't have all of those on hand right now, but it is a thing. And I love the decans. I think they're fascinating. There's a gazillion layers to them, so it's the kind of thing that you could just keep revisiting year after year as part of your tarot or astrology or spiritual practice. So there's lots of ways to engage with the decans. So when I was doing this with my friends, I have a Discord server, and I created like a separate thread for each of the 36 decans. So if you want to, you're also welcome to shoot me an email at just jennifer.parde@gmail.com. If you want to join my Discord and chit chat about astrology and tarot stuff, just shoot me an email and let me know. You're welcome to join us. You can post generally about astrology, tarot, other spiritual or philosophical reflections that you might have, but also specifically if you want to see what we posted about the decans last year, and maybe add your current thoughts. I'm definitely there. I will respond, and there are a few other people who might chime in as well. So these are all ways you can engage with the decans using this book. And I just also wanted to say that, again, there being so many different layers to the decans, there's so deep you can go. I'm kind of tempted to like pick up or contemplate one of the systems, like some of the small gods. Okay, so I'll show you guys something real quick. Hold on one second. I happen to have this sitting here. So I have this little deck called the Oracle of the Decans, and this is related to some of the gods in Hellenistic times that were associated with the decans, and these gods were depicted by somebody in a deck, and there's also a book that goes with it. This one. Right here. And these gods were petitioned for healing. So, like I said, the decans were associated with parts of the body thousands of years ago, and you can call on these little gods, quote unquote, for healing for different parts of the body. It's so fascinating how many different applications there are. Like I said, in the grimoire tradition, you get angels, you get demons, you get these different images from the Picatrix. So I have a lifelong, I think, curiosity about the decans, and I may well continue my reflections this year. I might pick up 36 Secrets some more, like the fact that Susan Chang is hosting a Decan Walk herself. That could definitely have me do it. Or if my Discord is active and people are posting, I would pick it back up. But also I'm thinking about like maybe looking into more of the gods that were associated with the decans. As a pagan practitioner, it's just really fascinating to me. So do a Decan Walk. If you stuck around this long, you should do a Decan Walk, or at least part of one. Give it a try. Why not? And let me know how it goes for you. And if you decide to join Susie's group, or if you're interested in joining my Discord and chit-chatting about the decans, let me know. And if you have done a Decan Walk yourself, or if you're planning to, leave a comment and let me know how it's gone for you or how it's going for you. Anyway, sending you guys lots of love, and I just wanted to share those thoughts. And again, happy spring, happy Aries season, and I hope to see you all again sometime soon. Bye.